This is the Check It Out podcast, and this is the first in a series of podcasts on the upcoming One Book, One College book, World War Z, an oral history of the zombie war by Max Brooks. I'm Troy Swanson.
I'm Joe Malarkey.
And I'm Tish Hayes.
And we are at the Moraine Valley Library, and we wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about the new One Book, World War Z. Maybe I could ask Tish to give us a quick overview of the novel.
World War Z is told as an oral history. So there's a reporter who's going around after the zombie apocalypse and talking to everyone who has endured and survived the war with the zombies. So you get a really wide range of perceptions. So everything from political leaders, Army, Navy, military leaders, plus everyday people who've gone through this really traumatic event. So unlike a lot of zombie movies or maybe some other zombie novels that you might have read, it's not blood and gore constantly. It's really a building of how this war happened, how the zombies came to be, and how we survived them. And I think that survival makes it a book that not nearly as depressing as a lot of the horror films that you might go to see.
Yeah, that's right. I think it works as a one book for a number of reasons, and one of them is because it's not blood and guts. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm not into horror movies, novels, I'm not going to read this book. I mean, there's some parts that are a little gruesome at times, but not bad. I mean, it's pretty tame for the genre.
Right. The trauma is really, I think, in the fighting and the war, and so what our response to the zombies is, both, you know, as a military kind of institution, how we deal with the zombies, and then what happens to the people who get left behind, like in any war. So the people day to day who have to deal with the fighting, with the wars, with the zombies, and the sacrifices that get made along the way.
This book is actually an homage to an earlier work of nonfiction, which is Studs Terkel's The Good War. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. And like other Studs Terkel books, it's told in interview style, people all different parts of the war, and World War Z follows along with that, hitting people that were in the fictionalized army fighting zombies, people on the home front, people rebuilding the economy. And I think the geopolitical nature of this book really makes it fit and work as a one-book selection. And what I mean by that is that it moves around the world, and the interviewees come from all different countries, and they reference different times of history, and they build all these connections to different actual real-life events. So you could even use this in like a history class if you wanted to. I think it plays well beyond just as a work of fiction.
Yeah, it really goes into, I think, the AIDS crisis is definitely something that gets touched on, but then also apartheid. I think any of the wars in the Middle East, I think, would probably be a good analogy in here, too.
Yeah, definitely.
So, have we made this sound better than, like, cheap exploitation? And just right in our good time, we've tried to be very high-minded in every one book we've picked.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to convince you we are not slumming this year.
Well, right. But the great thing, I mean, some one books we've picked are really monster books and really serious topics. And I think this is a nice change from some of the one books in the past, because this you could take to the beach and read for fun. I mean, it's got to be your thing, but it is readable, and it is a novel, and it is fiction, and it's not as monstrous as some of the other books. And we'll do those books again, but this is a nice change-up, I think. And
just the format, since this is an oral history, each of the sections are really only a few pages long. So it's people, from the war responding to questions. So if you are not into reading long novels, this is really easy to get through because you can read just a few parts at a time. There's an amazing audiobook that's out there with famous people reading it, so that might be a fun way to get into the book too. Right, it's very high-minded, but it's also really, really fun to read.
Max Brooks has written a number of things, mostly in the zombie genre. His first book was really popular, was the Zombie Survival Guide, which is a unique book that takes you through the kind of mechanics of what is a zombie and how you would survive. You've read this, right, Tish?
I read 3 parts of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Because you got to know. You got to know what
Right.
you're going to do.
Yeah,
You got
and
to have a plan.
I mean, I think
The good parts.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you read. Yeah.
World War Z isn't just where he just sat down and went. Like there's piles of research behind this novel. I just wanted to hit a couple of the themes because as fall approaches and we do our events, we're not just going to be talking about zombies and zombie wars. Like any of our one books, we're going to pull out a whole list of themes that we're going to talk through and host events around. One of them that all these books hit, and that Max Brooks's book, The Zombie Survival Guide, really is about, is this idea of emergency preparedness, what we need to do in cases of emergency. But we're also going to look at infectious disease. We're going to look at the idea of zombie kind of as a metaphor for the individual versus society. We're going to look at disasters. We're going to look at networks and infection and knowledge, how that spreads through, and how the zombie is a metaphor for this kind of network theory, which I like. And then we're going to also look at post-apocalyptic and dystopian literature as a broad theme. So our opening event is in September. I would encourage everyone to visit our website to see all of our events. We're going to have panel discussions with faculty members. There's going to be a lot of fun events coming up. And the website is www.morainevalley.edu/WWZ. So with that, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm really excited about the zombie discussions.
Absolutely. And read with us and read along.
Okay, there's copies in the library, and there's copies at the bookstore. So thank you.
Check them out.